Hey guys, welcome back. So got a video for y'all today all about this palette right here. This is the BH Cosmetics Stellar Collision palette. So another one of their amazing baked shadow palettes. And actually this one is labeled as an eyeshadow and a highlighter palette. So super duper fun. So we're just going to chat about all things related to this palette, like pricing, packaging. I'll show you some swatches. I'll kind of chat with you guys about the difference in the color story happening in this palette versus the other ones from the collection. I'll chat with you guys about the formula of these shadows and how they are to work with, and give you my overall thoughts and opinions on this palette, as well as show you a little tutorial on how I did this look right here. So yeah, let's get on to it. Okay, so pricing will vary based on what kind of sales are going on at the time, but retail price, this is $21. Here is the outside sleeve, really pretty, bright, fun colors, and then the palette itself, nice sturdy cardboard packaging, nothing super duper amazing, but nice quality for the price and really pretty. I mean, the design on it is beautiful, so I don't mind the packaging at all. There is a mirror in here, and then it has a very like stellar star-like sort of a design to it. Okay, so let's start chatting about color story. So color story in this one, they label this as an eyeshadow and a highlighter palette, and I definitely see why, because there are a lot of colors in here that work beautifully as eyeshadows, but also that work gorgeously as a cheek highlighter too. There are some larger pans in here, and I think they might have done that because you could technically use this as a really glowy bronzer. You could use this as a glowy blush. You could use these as glowy highlighters, obviously, but then there's some other ones in here that would be really glowy, beautiful highlighters also. So I definitely see why they labeled it in that way. It's an overall very glowy palette. That's how I would describe this one specifically. A lot of duochromy, light catching, just very glowy sort of colors. Beautiful. This side is kind of more warm toned. This side is kind of more cool toned. But there's a lot of duochromes happening in this palette, which I absolutely love. So comparing it against the others, this one is the Stellar Collision. This one is the Galaxy Chic on the bottom. So the Galaxy Chic has a lot more color to it. Less duochromy shades, more just metallic-y pops, but a lot more color happening in this one. This was the first one that came out. Next was Supernova. Supernova is a lot darker, a lot more jewel tone, just deeper colors in this one. So there's the comparison of these two. Really not a lot of similarity here because this one is just a darker sort of a palette. Next came Supernova. Supernova is the kind of warm toned one overall. Lots of golds, coppery sort of shades in this one. There are some kind of like similar sort of colors, but overall definitely different palettes. But if you are a warm tone shadow lover, I think you would love Supernova, but just wanted to compare those two for you. And then lastly, Aurora Lights, which is on the bottom here. So Aurora Lights is a really bright, kind of neon-y sort of palette. I love this one. I really enjoy all of these. I would say my least favorite is probably Supernova, just those darker shades. I tend to grab for lighter, brighter shades, so that's probably my least favorite of them, but I really enjoy all of them. This one is so much fun to play with. If you like bright, metallic-y, neon-y sort of colors, I think you would really enjoy this one. They are different palettes, but I feel like these are made to pair together because these lighter, brighter duochromy shades mixed with these bright ones, so fun, really beautiful, bright looks to be created there. So just wanted to compare the two. Definitely different, but I think that they are like perfectly made to pair together. Okay, and then here are swatches. So what I did is on each of the swatches on this side of them, I applied them dry, and then I went back in with a wet brush on this side of each of the swatches. So you can really see where they get more intense. That is where I was using them wet with a wet brush. So you can really see the difference. So this palette, there are no titles or names for the shadows. So just kind of showing you in general all the swatches of the palette. So beautiful. So while we're looking at these, I will note that some of these shadows definitely have some micro shimmer in them. I wouldn't call it chunky glitter, but just an FYI, there are some in here that do have shimmer, like this one right here. You can see that shimmer a little bit more defined. This one right here, you can see the shimmer a little bit more defined. So some people really hate shimmer like that in their shadows and definitely in their highlighters. I don't mind it at all. I think it's so pretty, but I just wanted to note that for you in case that is important to you. So chatting about the formula of these shadows and how they are to work with and my overall thoughts and opinions on this palette. So these are baked shadows. If you've never worked with baked shadows before, they are a different sort of an experience to work with. I personally love them because I think that they are so fun to play with, but they are just a different sort of a shadow and a different experience working with them. So formula-wise, they are typically a little bit more of a dry sort of a texture to them. They feel just a little bit rougher in texture and just different, but you can use them in different ways. That's why I love them so much. You can use them dry, which gives you a little bit more of a sheer sort of a look on the eyes or even the cheeks. So you can use them dry, or you can dampen your brush or foil them with either setting spray or eye drops or even water. So you can dampen your brush and then dip that damp brush into the shadow without damaging it. Typically, if you would do that with another kind of shadow that's not baked, you could risk messing up that shadow. So I love that you can do that with baked shadows. You can play with them dry or you can play with them wet. I personally love foiling them and wearing them with a damp brush because that just makes them pop, brings out that metallic-y shine to them, and it's so, so pretty. So I love playing with baked shadows. I think they're a lot of fun to play with, but they are just kind of a different sort of an experience. But I will say that I feel like the baked shadows in this one particularly seem to be a step up. Some of them are still that kind of traditional drier sort of a texture to them, but then some of them in here like this one and a couple others are more buttery feeling. So I don't know if BH is maybe trying to even improve their baked shadow game even more. I feel like they were already great at it, but this seems like even a step up. So I love that. I am super excited that it seems like this is even a step up from the other ones. So they're just a different sort of an experience working with them. I think they're beautiful. I love wearing them. Just light and bright. There are no mattes in here, so you would have to bring in some mattes from other palettes, or like today I used my bronzer and that totally works. So if you want that kind of complete sort of an eye look with mattes and shimmery shades, you would need to bring in something from a different sort of a palette. Like I mentioned in the swatches, some of these do have a little bit chunkier shimmer in here. I would not describe it as chunky glitter, but I would say that they are more defined shimmer. So just an FYI on that. So I love the formula of these. I think they are beautiful, both on the eyes and the cheeks. I think they are so fun to work with. So overall thoughts and opinions on this palette, I love it. It is so hard to pick a favorite from these because they're just some of my favorite palettes to play with. I think they're beautiful. I love BH, pretty much everything that they come out with. I absolutely love, especially their eyeshadow palettes, but their baked shadows are so, so fun. I don't know. Like I mentioned earlier, I think maybe my least favorite is Supernova, just because it's kind of more of those jewel tone shadows that I don't wear quite as much. But I mean, all the other ones, I like them for different reasons. Like I love that this is warm toned and so coppery and golden and beautiful. This one is fun to play with if I'm wanting a more colorful look. But I would say right now, my overall favorites are Aurora Lights and Stellar Collision, just because I feel like they are fun, bright, different. Between the two, I don't know. I just don't know what I would pick. Maybe this one because I love light, bright shadows, but I still love this one. And like I said earlier, pair perfectly together. So I think it's an awesome palette, so much fun. So those are my overall thoughts and opinions on the palette. So now we're gonna get to the tutorial. Let's get to that. Okay, so I already applied some eyeshadow primer and set that. So I'm just gonna get some of my bronzer. This is a Laura Geller bronzer. And I'm going to use a Cozette S175, and I'm going to place this into my crease and transition area, just using this as a matte shadow. Okay, so first shade I'm going to start with from the palette is this one right here. Beautiful, kind of coppery, bronzy sort of color. So I'm going to get that on a Chique eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to spray it with some setting spray. And just build this up all over my lid, mainly concentrating it on the middle of my lid, but also kind of blending it a little bit into the inner corners and outer corners. Now I'm going to take a small crease brush and get some of this kind of burgundy shade right here, tap off my brush, And just put a little bit of this on the outer corner just for a little bit of depth and dimension. Now I'm going to take a small flat brush. This is an Alamar brush. I'm going to get some of this shade right here. So pretty. Get some of that on my brush, tap off my brush, spray my brush, and then just put this on the inner corners of my eyes. Blend this into that coppery color and then bring it into the inner corners. And then I'm actually not going to wear liner on my upper lash line just because I want this to be really light and metallic-y and just bright looking. So no liner, just going to apply some mascara. I'm going to use the BH Cosmetics Stellar Lash Mascara. So quick little review on this mascara. Overall, I really, really like it. It is kind of an hourglass shaped brush wand on it, so that's what the wand looks like. So I do still use quite a few coats of this, but I do that with most, I mean, not even most mascaras, every single mascara I use a lot of coats. So I did use quite a few coats here. What I like about this, well, I like this for several reasons. First off, like a first or second coat kind of gives you a light fluttery sort of a lash look that's actually really beautiful. It's defined but still fluttery and really pretty, so kind of like, I don't know, fluttery. That's the look, that's the word that I would use to describe it. So a fluttery sort of a look with one or two coats, but then when you build it, you really can get a lot of volume and a lot of length, which is really pretty. Now, if you go in with as many coats as I did, you can start to get some, or at least I do, I noticed this, some kind of clumping on the edge of the lashes, but I'm talking a lot of coats. I just go back in with Covergirl Clump Crusher to kind of help break those apart and, you know, remove them. I don't mind that at all. I mean, I'm putting it to the test by using so many coats, so that's really, I believe, what's creating that happening, but it's very minimal. So just a little bit of that. I do not notice a lot of smudging with this mascara, like up on my upper lash line, which I love. I would say minimal, if any. Some days I have none, some days I have some, but not a lot. So I really love that, and it's usually right in here, and that happens with almost like every mascara with me. Literally, well, I don't want to exaggerate. 95% of mascaras do that on me. So this is very, very minimal, so really good in that department. I do notice a little bit of flaking with it, but I would rather have flaking over smudging, but just an FYI. And I didn't notice the flaking every day, just kind of some days, and I don't really know what was the difference in those days, but some days I noticed a little bit of flaking, some days I noticed none. So anywho, there's a little mini review. I really like it. Okay, so I went ahead and applied some concealer, powder, and bronzer. So now for my lower lash line, I'm gonna get some of this shade right here on a Sedona Lace EB 21 brush. Just kind of coating my brush with that. Gonna tap it, and then gonna use some setting spray and line my lower lash line with this shade. I'm also going to take some of the coppery shade on that same brush, tap that off, spray it, and put some of this on kind of the outer half of my lower lash line. Now I'm just going to apply some Covergirl Clump Crusher to my lower lashes. Okay, to finish off the look, I'm going to take a pencil brush and get some of this really pretty color right here and tap more of that on the inner corners of my eyes. Really want to keep that nice and light and bright and very duochrome-y. For cheeks, I just went ahead and popped on some of this Covergirl Cheekers blush in Pink Candy. So I have some of that on. So over that, I want to play with this really bright pink. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this on my blush brush, which is, actually this is a large angled contour, F40 from Sigma. And I'm just going to pop some of this, kind of going a little bit lower on my cheeks, and I'm barely touching. I want just a little bit of this glow, but I don't want it to like overtake my cheeks. So you can kind of see the difference. A little bit more subtle And then that has a little bit of like that pink glow pop. And then I want to use this same amazing duochrome shade on my cheekbones. So we're going to get some of that on a Bdellium Tools 787 brush. Tap that off. And then just apply this. Oh, so pretty. To my cheekbones and a little bit on the sides of my face. Wow. That's amazing. And I'm just going to finish up with my lip. I'm just going to do a bright fun pink. I'm going to use ColourPop's Goodie Bag. Okay guys, so that wraps up this video. So I hope that you really enjoyed it and I hope it was helpful for you. Please hit a thumbs up if it was, and let me know down below what you think about this palette. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it down below. Ask me any questions that you have. I'm happy to answer those. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!